Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale around Yak Spin. We have a fantastic show for you. ArenaNet Layoff Aftermath, balance patch notes out early, and the preview of the War Claw on this week's Guild Chat, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow hosts. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and host of Zero to Hero on this very channel. And with more info about the WvW mounts, he will find out how bad the requirements to obtain it will be. Will it be something like 10 years or a day? Either way, he will figure it out like a modern day Pikachu. Detective Pikachu. Say hello to Jim.
Yay.
I'm running out of movies. He needs to do more movies.
That was the best one.
I hear it's a reward track, so I'm not exactly worried about the whole Warclaw thing. So
Yeah, we'll definitely get all into it because, yeah, they did give us a lot of info during the Guild Chat. So, and he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. We have news about the balance patch, but how will his thief turn out? Say hello to Age.
yeah.
For a second, I thought you weren't going to even say anything. I was like, really? If you weren't here for a pre-show. But
Hi guys.
All right. And she's an editor at GuildMag, writes for MMORPG.com and also her own site, MMORly.com. Is she ready to roar her way to the new WvW mount? Say hello to Robin.
Hey. Also, you dropped out of my intro that I'm a moderator at MMO Champion too. Like, come on.
Oh.
You're like
so
tipping
many.
me of stuff.
I'm sorry.
She's a global moderator. She's like, she technically can order me around to do stuff. She doesn't, but
You know what? As an apology to that, you can even order him around on Talking Skritt as well. It can carry over.
I did not agree to this.
Arlie, did he agree to it?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's anyway.
I demand a recount.
No recounts.
I wish I could do something about it.
Your hands are tied.
Yeah. Anyway, let us jump right into it. So, I mean, we talked about it last week as kind of the speculation of stuff happening through, what was it, originally dropped by Kotaku, I believe?
Kotaku, yeah.
Kotaku.
About layoffs at Arena, and we were kind of told that it was like kind of NCSoft West as a whole type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this past week we did find out there were, I would say this counts as a massive layoff for people at ArenaNet, because I think in total, at least last count, we're not sure if this is official or not, because this was, I think, done through the Seattle Times, but also just people gathering information. I think in total it was, unfortunately, 143 employees were laid off, and that's based off of what we know, just I think through websites and stuff like that. They roughly had around 400 people, so
that's like a quarter of the people were laid off, which is massive.
35% roughly.
Also, I'm curious, like, I haven't heard anything about it, and I think it's just because, like, people don't really pay attention to the other games the way they do Guild Wars 2, but I wonder if there were layoffs in the other game developments for those games as well.
Probably.
It's a very descriptive thing, because they say NCSoft West, which at this time, like, I can think of Guild Wars 2, but also...
Oh, right. That's a fair point.
Also,
they don't
weirdly
really have
enough...
anything else.
Well,
I found an article about there were layoffs at a smaller company that did working on a mobile game.
Oh, okay.
Trying to find that real quick, but yeah, it wasn't as bad, but I don't know how big the studio is.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I think the only other one, and I don't know how it's made up, but because weirdly enough, I was kind of cleaning up my computer and I still had WildStar installed.
No, I do too. I was looking at it yesterday and I was like, maybe I should get rid of that. And I was like, no.
Well, it brings up a uninstall thing feature, and it lists all their games. And I think it said something about like they had Ion, but also like Ion West. Like, so maybe they have like a set. So I don't know if anybody from there.
That would make sense, actually. Yeah.
The studio was Iron Tiger about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So like, okay, in that case, I feel like it's less about like ArenaNet being bad and more about NCSoft just making cuts everywhere, really.
yeah. I mean, that's at least how NCSoft worded it originally. Was it was supposed to be NCSoft West cuts. And like I said, those are some of the places I know that supposedly have a Western, like is Western developed. I don't know if they did or not. It just kind of, but
yeah.
you know, either way, if it does, it's just as sad. You know, our hearts go out to them as well. But for ArenaNet, you know, a lot of people are worried, and but and the one thing I like about the community is the first thing was people kind of constructed a list on Reddit for like the people that lost their jobs that we know of, which we'll definitely try to link in the description, of course, but maybe we'll even put it as like a top comment just in case for some reason if some developer stumbles across this. I'm not making any like, oh, we're so big that we'll somehow someone gets word of it and you know they see these people and they're looking for a job, definitely you know, hire them. I'm sure if you see on the resume they'll have ArenaNet, but it's
my main concern regarding, like, aside from feeling terrible for all the people who were laid off and for all the people who are still there, because like I don't know if any of you know, but like if you've gone through layoffs, even if you're one of the ones left behind, it still hits you really hard. It's a rough thing on both sides. It's differently rough, but it's difficult. But my main concern is less that Guild Wars 2 will still be able to produce stuff. I think they will. They'll keep doing things. Obviously, it might be a little slower than it was before. Who knows? But then it might not. Maybe they really did lay off the number of people that had been working on these other unannounced projects, and they'll still have the same number working on the current stuff that they're working on. So there should be no change there if that's the case. But my concern is more that so many of these people that they laid off are people who have been there for a long time. Like that's a lot of experience and knowledge to lose all at once. So that worries me a little bit.
There's been 3 times with my current company that I have seen a single individual pass away, sadly, and the departments were just left reeling. So this isn't necessarily as hard to cut off access to that kind of knowledge, but still you lose this many people, and especially a number of people that have been with the company for so very long, that it's going to be a very large shock to the system. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a slowdown on content for a little bit, but I'm not worried about Guild Wars 2's future. Every time I went back over the email from the Kotaku article, everything that it read, it sounded like there was a number handed down to ArenaNet from NCSoft that said, you have to cut this much per year.
Yeah.
And we've had reports that some people have volunteered to leave the company as part of this, which I don't believe we have any confirmation on that from the people. It's just been reported.
Well, there's been a
some
couple.
People have said they volunteered
it was
to leave.
Aaron Lind who said that he volunteered. He was one of them.
Whether everybody got that option, you know, who knows if they went by department. I think this is an important thing to establish is we're reporting on the stuff that we definitely have seen people talk about or through the employees, but this is still an outside perspective. So we're kind of filling in the blanks with maybe our past experiences, like Jim was talking about, like Robin was talking about. So, you know, still take that with a grain of salt.
So I think that, you know, some of the people who've been with the company for a very long time saw this as an opportunity to help people who were still in the business that had a lot of room to grow. And it's like, I have these years of experience. I can get a job somewhere. These other people, maybe not so much. So they kind of took the hit, so to speak. And that's my assumption if I were in this kind of position. That's not me talking to what someone else would have said. But overall, I think if it would have been different, if that offer wasn't available, I think we probably might have seen a lot more people leave.
Mm.
Just
Yeah, the other thing I was wondering about, like, because the number that I've heard pretty consistently is 143 or 144, which to me just seems like a really weird number to pick to have to lay off people. So I've been wondering about how they arrived at that number. If it was maybe like it would have been 150, but enough people volunteered or something. Like, it's an interesting thing.
yeah, that's why I think it was just like, here, you have to cut X amount of dollars a year in salary, and then that's where it ended up.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Chat's saying that apparently Wooden Potatoes video listed them and it was 142. Yeah, like we said, I think it's somewhere around there because
there's been a number of
like
official sources that it's between 140 and 144. Like, I don't know.
But also that is chat is the one that Wooden Potatoes listed, the list that Reddit compiled, because I think the downsides with those are that's through like Twitter, like that was what people could find, which I know some people were saying, oh, this person doesn't have a Twitter, so I've seen that a couple times for other devs helping the other, but so who knows if they're, I mean, it's a pretty close number, but it's in the end we hope everybody that got dismissed lands on their feet, finds a new job, and for the people there, hopefully they stand strong, because I know a lot of people were kind of saying like, oh, ArenaNet, like the higher ups, some people throw out like Mo's name as like knew about this all along, planned it, but
I don't think
apparently we've seen also, according to some employees or during these meetings and stuff, Mike O'Brien was basically grief stricken. I mean, he supposedly, even some were saying he kept wandering around just saying, they'll get through this, repeatedly. Like, that's just something, that doesn't come from someone that knew about this or like had it planned out.
As much as I think Mike tends to lack a bit of a stage presence.
Yeah, he's not a people person, really. Like,
he doesn't strike me as someone who lacks care for the people he works with.
No.
So I can't imagine that he'd be like either numb to this or cold about it. So take that as it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and chat's saying since ANET had to file a document to the state, and it was apparently 142. So,
and Mafongo Jones did bring up a good point, is that the layoffs happened on Monday mostly.
Right.
This was something that was known about and was planned. When the email came down from NCSoft, it would have happened Friday.
Right.
Because then it would have been
because that's when you lay off people. Like, you don't usually do that at the beginning of the week. That's just an unusual thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, a lot of them, God, as they were coming across, it was really rough for me because, like, I've met so many of them and talked to so many of them, and it was much more personal for me. And I think the one that hit me probably the most, because it was just so unexpected, was Drew Cady, who is one of the audio people. And like, I remember when we visited the ArenaNet studio, we were kind of wandering around with Gail, and it was really cool and stuff. And we went by the sound area, and he was there by himself. And we said, hey, and like, he didn't know us from anybody, like who we were, but he was, Gail was trying to move us along so we didn't, take up his time, but he like pulled us in and started showing us stuff and talking about how the sound and all of that. Like, he had so much care and interest for it, and like just really wanted to talk to us and like show us what they do and all of that. And it was such an unexpected, really nice, great moment to get that side of things, to see that. And yeah, I can't believe that he was one of the people laid off. Like it's shocking to me.
Yeah, kind of going off that note, it like granted I have never met any of them like face to face, but hearing like stories like you guys when you go into PAX or you know just through the community, people getting to meet them at different conventions, like what you're kind of saying there, it kind of seems like the devs there and the people that work there were proud parents, and this was their baby, because like you said, Gail was trying to do her job in that situation, like, you know, trying to keep things rolling, and you know, don't want to monopolize someone's time, because they are working. It's but no, they were like, no, let me show you. You know, they were genuinely excited about, you know, what they had to do or got to do. So I mean, yeah, it's and I kind of wanted to hit that. I'm sure people know that throughout this week, but you know, Jim was talking about like delay of content. You know, this past week we were supposed to have the
Warclaw.
Warclaw, the WvW Mount, and the balance patch, but due to these events, Monday and Tuesday, they closed ArenaNet for those 2 days, just so everybody could, you know, deal with this emotional thing. Because, and you know, a lot of people were saying, I unfortunately saw some people saying that, oh, well, you know, people leave their job all the time, and you know, what's the big deal? Which, when it's a family, it still has that like kind of effect on you. But I didn't even think about it until I saw Josh Foreman's thing of, think about also that's going into it for the people that stayed there, that, because even Josh was talking about it, was when they saw this stuff on Friday and got the news, they had Saturday and Sunday where he was, I think he even said he was just kind of staring into the void type thing, like wondering, do I have a, like, that's a horrible, stressful thing for that to happen over that time, even for the people that, you know, got to stay. It's, that's very taxing. So it's
also like, I think overall it's good that they close the offices Monday and Tuesday, because like it's bad enough to find out all of these people are leaving that you know and you care about, but then to actually see them like taking their stuff out and going away, like that's an extra like punch in the gut, you know. It's really like I was saying before, it's really rough, even as somebody who didn't get laid off, because then you're sitting there and you have guilt over, well, why did I keep my job when this other incredible person didn't? And you know, you're thankful, but then you feel bad for being thankful. There's a lot that goes into it. It's terrible. And like, I know for me, when I went through layoffs at my company, it was over a year before, like, every time I saw the empty desk, I didn't feel like I was getting punched in the gut again, because it was always upsetting, you know. And then you're wondering if, well, what if this happens again? You know, is my job secure? Like, there's so much that goes into it. It's really, really emotionally damaging. And especially because this isn't a normal thing for ArenaNet. They don't regularly do layoffs or anything the way the rest of the gaming industry does. So like, that makes it like, it's good, but it's also makes it even worse when it does happen, because it's just completely unexpected.
Now I'm confused, chat, what you mean by they released some info on all that.
I think all
the patch notes,
and everything is what Magnus.
Oh, okay. I mean, granted, they don't often in the past. Well, sometimes depending on how big the balance patch is, they'll release stuff early, but usually it's right then and there on Tuesdays. But chat's also saying they're excited for the new mount. Remember, they were going to do a WvW stream on Friday. I have a feeling that was probably going to be involved in there. It's just, once again, unfortunately, all that stuff happened. But and honestly, chat does bring that up. They're saying in particular, a dev in their guild got laid off, but said not to worry. And I saw that from a lot of the devs on their Twitters and whatnot and videos, just kind of just saying, like, you know, while it is a horrible thing, you know, to lose your job or for anyone, I mean, but it's definitely not the end of days for Guild Wars 2 because of this. Like, I think it's still in the same trajectory, because and this is what another thing I kind of want to bring up is a lot of people are saying like, oh, the game's dead, all this stuff. I'm like, if you look at the numbers, this follows the same trajectory as any MMO you grab. Like, if World of Warcraft, the king of MMOs, literally between launch and expansions, and then expansion, it goes down, goes back up on the expansion, goes down, goes back. That's kind of what this does if you look at the yearly report in general. I mean,
people can also talk about like how WoW has been slowly dying since Wrath, but like the lead up to Wrath, there were really no competitors to World of Warcraft. And then you get more and more games with shorter and shorter gameplay loops coming out. And that's where the MMO starts dying. And that's a downtrend for MMOs, not for World of Warcraft or for Guild Wars 2. Long form gaming is not in vogue right now. Which is what MMOs require.
And I see chat saying they're scared that the content they care about is going to die, and that is a valid concern. I mean, I just think that people unfortunately are playing this up that are on the outside, because this does happen in companies all the time where, because they were making money, they grew new projects, new things and stuff like that. Unfortunately, then it spread out too much, and then it had to have the shrinkage, unfortunately. It's just, I think, because of gaming, and I would also say probably because of the Blizzard situation, it probably got pushed further. But like I said, and I don't want to sound callous towards the people that lost their jobs. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's just, especially how they had to do it. Like I said before, they basically had a weekend to be like, am I or aren't I? It's like, ugh. But yeah, honestly, it's like, I think I've seen some people saying like, well, I'm going to leave the game. It's like, well, then yeah, surely if everybody leaves the game, then it is going to fail. It's like, but it's like, be cautious, don't be stupid.
Well, the other thing is especially when you're talking about watching YouTubers and various people, like, one thing I always stress, and this goes beyond just Guild Wars 2 and ArenaNet, is people who drum up like fear and like are super extreme with what they're saying. I always feel like you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, because, the extreme dramatic things get you a lot of clicks, but it's not necessarily representative of what is actually true or will happen. Like, it might be, but you also have to remember that there's reasons why people do that.
Clickbait. Clickbait sucks.
I was gonna say, yeah, just like Carly Rae Jepsen watching Seal eat a loaf of bread. Which, if you want to hear about that, you have to show up before the show. But anyway,
oh my God, why did you choose that to call back to?
Because for some reason in my mind I went to that and my brain was like, "This is all I'm giving you." I'm like, "All right."
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and I think like chat saying Mike Z kind of gave a statement on the forums as well, kind of just talking about their rough plans for the future. And like I said, I don't think that people should be as worried as they're making it out to be. But
and I agree. I like I know Mafonga Jones is saying this, and Josh agrees with him that it would be nice to get more of this rough idea of what the future is holding. But you got to remember, the reason they stepped back from that is because the player base took that and ran with it. And then when something wasn't delivered on, it was, but you said, and people pulled out the torches and pitchforks. So it's also on us. If we want more of this, we have to look at what they're saying, and we have to accept what they're saying. And if they can't deliver on it, we have to be like, okay, that was a risk. There was a chance that they wouldn't be able to deliver on the thing that they said they were working on. or something happened that pushed it back. So that's just something that we need to realize as gamers, is that we can't browbeat the company that makes the thing we love and expect continued good content.
Right. Also, like, I don't know, back on like Mo, I've only interacted with him a few times, but like my impression from him is that, so like there was always Colin, who was really good at like interacting with people and like being charismatic and like really making connections. My impression of Mo is he doesn't have that aspect so much. I feel like he internalizes more and is more of a, not to say, I want to say thinker, but I'm not meaning to imply Colin's dumb. He's not dumb, you know. It's just, I think it's a different personality. So I feel like this has probably been very hard on Mo, but it's a different process for him probably to be able to talk to us, even in just a post, to put together thoughts about it. I wouldn't
say I would boil it down to almost like an introvert versus extrovert, which maybe, you know, they probably have like share characteristics of, but you know, like Chat was saying, like possibly more introvert of Mo kind of manifests his feelings internally, whereas from what we saw of Colin, maybe you got the appearance that he wore his emotions more on his sleeve type thing, like it was easier to spot, which I mean, it's just so hard for me to say. It's like I don't know them personally. Yes, from the thing, Colin, yeah, was more bubbly and stuff like that, but I also enjoyed Mo's approach of kind of being more straightforward and serious, because sometimes that can be misconstrued when someone's more bubbly. It's like, what, some people have that mentality of like, you're happier than me, why are you happier than me, what, like what's wrong, like they'll like, humanity's great. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Look, Deo, it's your fault for the psych degree. You're overthinking. And I think, going off of what Arlie said, I think if we do get a response, if we do get something from Mo, it's going to take a bit, because I feel like he wants to craft the thing he like, because he's the guy who didn't want to overhype things. So if he's going to deliver a message, he's going to want to deliver a message that he knows exactly, like, that conveys exactly what he wants to convey. So,
yep.
But I think another nice thing that a great thing, you know, we are talking about kind of like the negatives of the community, but like a positive thing was hashtag was, you know, generating of hashtag love for ArenaNet, and people, I think it was Thursday, they were running 2 events. Unfortunately, they fell right outside the time frame of like when I got home, and like then was going to bed for work on Friday. So I'm like, ah. But we do have a couple of images from there if you want to check it out. Like they made a heart out of commander tags in Lion's Arch on the map, and lots of cool things. But you know, I kind of want to, and if chat has any, I'd love to hear them. But I'd also like to throw it to you guys, because I saw on Twitter someone was saying like, kind of share your like moments that stood out for you in Guild Wars 2 and stuff that, you know, the devs helped create, you know, that are here, that left and are, you know, still working there. They people even made a wiki page for it, which, you know, we'll have a link in the description. I do encourage people, if you want to throw your comment in there as well. But yeah, I was wondering if you guys had anything to share that was your love for ArenaNet.
This show, this whole thing, these friendships that I've got right here, and then, you know, the interactions with people in chat, or should I say friends/ships. I would be missing out on a lot of fun without Guild Wars 2. So I have them to thank for a lot of things. Specifically, talking about interactions with one person, Ruby saved my ass at PAX last year because I was an idiot and totally forgot to get my ticket for the meetup. And then Krista was like, "You're on the show, have my ticket." And I'm like, "No, I can't do that to you." She's like, "Take it."
Mm-hmm.
And then Ruby's like, "I got you." So she got my butt in. Krista got to keep her ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's enough of me sharing my instance. So, co-hosts,
Do you want to go or?
If you have something, Diego, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think kind of like Jim said, like basically talking Skritt as a show, because I mean we talked about in the past was, you know, we came from Game Breaker and Game Breaker Nation type thing, and I mean they had a Guildcast which was originally with Ruby in it, so it's like, you know, thank the world Ruby, you know, was running with that show, transitioned to Game Breaker. When Guild Wars 2 was coming out, I was like, oh, I need to find a game, and it's all Game Breaker community. Rolling GBN. I still remember when it was under Game Breakers was doing the show, you know, Elizabeth Clare was on it, and I still remember, I think it was for Dragon Bash or something. I think it had her on one of the, was it Points of Interest at the time or something, when they were just doing one of the streams and talking about the update.
Yeah, I think so.
It was her and like she was standing in the back. I still remember this, and like two devs in front, and they were talking about the content. And I don't know, it had that like proud parent moment. I was like, I used to watch her on Guildcast, like. So I don't know. It's just, and you know, basically doing the show, talking with everybody out here. It's like that's what ArenaNet just did as a whole. So, I mean,
yeah, for me, it's like there's so many things. Like I can't even begin to like pick out moments just between like playing the game when it came out, because I never played Guild Wars 1. I only discovered Guild Wars 2 at the Future of MMOs panel when John Peters was on there, and they gave out everybody keys for the beta. And like I was just blown away by the game. It was so much fun, and just like so many experiences, so many people I've gotten to know through it. Like so many, like just every interaction with every single dev has been incredible. Even if we're talking about like something as innocuous as Witcher 3. Like I remember talking to Matt Medina. I almost called him Messina for some reason, and I was like, that's the wrong last name. But we were talking about Witcher 3's story and how they did that, and like just talking about that kind of stuff, or like anything else. Is just, there's so many great moments. Like I remember when I was interviewing Izzy and Colin, and Izzy was like, I swear to God, Izzy was just like a proud papa who didn't know like how to say how proud of and much he loved the game, but like you could see it when he was setting things up and like, you know, just doing it. He's a very quiet guy, but it was just like, I like literally wanted to pat him on the shoulder and be like, yes, I love the game too. It's great. You know, like, you know, it's just, you know, moments like that where you see how much these people really care and really enjoy what they do. And it means the world to me.
hey.
For me, it's just like Guild Wars 2 has changed like a lot of my perspective in terms of gaming, in terms of life, in terms of thinking critically, and it's I've met like a ton of people across the world, and it's been pretty cool. And you know, I've done things I never thought I'd do, and it's been a blast. And honestly, I can't think of any like other MMOs are cool, but like every time it would just be like go back to Guild Wars 2 because it's just a good game, such a fun game. Despite like my little gripes with it, but you know, always a good game to come back to and see the passion the devs go through and put into this game, things they're excited for, things like that. So it's a cool experience to just be with this franchise for so long and to share it with so many people who enjoy it as well, and go through the same struggles, and just forming bonds in that respect. So yeah, that's my love for ArenaNet thing, I guess.
And yeah, I'm like looking at chat, kind of talking about like, it's their game that they've gone to for either 15 minutes or 3 hours, every day. It's like, that's one thing that they even prided themselves on was, and worked towards throughout, I would say. They've constantly talked about that as like they want to be that game where you can feel like you're progressing in 15 minutes or 3 hours.
Right.
So, and I do know, I see a lot of people that are, like we said before, are, sad of the whole situation, which, I totally understand, but are worried about, the future, which I totally understand. It's, hopefully going forward, and I kind of said this last week, like, ideally, maybe we could, like, use this, and kind of Jim was hitting on it. It's like, we're all talking about how their silence, but how about when they do, if they reopen their, like, floodgates for news and stuff, don't take it as the like gospel, like if it doesn't pan out, because I did see chat say it is hard coming from Warframe dev streams, and I'll admit, like, the Warframe dev streams, it does remind me of the Guild Wars 2 ones of old, where it's like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this, we're considering doing that, it's down the road. But that community, and I'm sure there are still some that go, you haven't done this, but for some reason it doesn't seem like it's the vocal, the loud vocal one.
One of the things I think is different, and this is just my own supposition, I don't really know like the numbers involved, but I feel like Guild Wars 2 is a bit more mainstream than Warframe. Warframe feels like more of a niche game, so you have a smaller audience in general that I feel like it's easier to get people the understanding of that. When you have more of a broad appeal, like, it can be harder to make those connections and have people be understanding because it's just more mass, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like Warframe can kind of feel like that, like, cult following type thing.
Right.
And I think some people have made that joke in the past, because I think they even say like how they're like in like I forget what they refer themselves as, like an indie dev or something, but they're like, well, aren't you owned by this big like group? And it's like, you're, but anyway, we're kind of getting off track here, but
right.
But yeah, it's, I think that's the important thing is, like I was saying, going back to comparing the two, and it's like, I think that's what we had in Guild Wars 2, but the community might have exploited that too much. So hopefully, if it does happen again, maybe the community will learn. Hopefully. And like I said, it's a two-way street. I see a lot of people just in chat saying how the silence from ArenaNet, but it's like, well, we did that to ourselves as well. So
right.
I would be gun shy too with some of the things I've seen people, talking about as well. But anyway, I mean, any other thoughts on this as a whole?
I think we've pretty much said all that needs to be said.
Yeah. But yeah, well, like we said, the Warclaw mount for WvW World was supposed to be dropping this past week, but due to circumstances, it got pushed to this coming Tuesday. And on top of that, our WvW World stream that we're planning on doing next Wednesday. But they did give us a little bit more information this past Friday when they did the WvW World stream, where they talked more about the Warclaw mount and how to obtain it and all that kind of stuff. But their kind of goals for it, they wanted it. They kind of said they wanted to make it easier to get into fights, get new players into WvW World, and add something new to WvW World. So, I mean, without, since this is early, we haven't got to try it or play it. By just looking at it, do you guys think it achieves these goals?
Well, I have a question, and this is kind of an indication of how long it's been since I've been in World versus World. It's been a bit, but like I saw something about having to do a reward track to get it. Like, are there reward tracks in World versus World?
Yes.
I thought those were just in SPVP.
No, they carried them over and they used the system.
They've been in WvW for a while now.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's an indication of how long it's been since I've gone in. Huh.
Oh, you're gonna love World War when you pop in. There's gonna be so many new different things.
Like, what is happening? Okay.
But well, I guess those are the goals. I say we go through the stuff and then we can, that way everybody's informed on it. But they said the way to get it, there will be a World Warclaw companion collection. So apparently it's going to require World rank 1. So basically spend a point in the Warclaw mastery.
Okay.
And this is like the bare minimum stuff. So if you're already a avid World player, have multiple ranks, you just have to spend a point in that mastery. But 8.5 hours of tier 6 participation for the reward track without boosters or 80 daily potions. So there's going to be that reward track with the standard, you can speed it up through potions or, boosters. So if you do have birthday boosters, good time to use them. 250 badges of honor, 50 skirmish tickets. You're going to have to capture a camp, capture a tower, and capture a keep. And then a random drop from guards, and they said roughly around a 10% chance, which when they said that, I still don't think I got my siege spoon.
It is do WvW things.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
at a bare minimum. So
you glom onto a Zerg and you just kind of you get it.
Well, I think it'll do a good job of getting people in it who either haven't tried it or haven't played in a while. And like the majority probably will stop once they get their mount, but you have to figure some percentage of that amount will be like, oh, wow, this is actually fun and interesting, and we'll stick around and do it more often.
And now I can go around faster, hopefully, once they have them out. But yeah, I don't think that's a tough pill to swallow to obtain it. Like, it's not like you're literally going in there and having to just buy something real quick.
Right.
You actually have to do something.
I think it's a good mix because like it introduces the basics of everything. It's like, here, do stuff.
I just want a skin for it that's just an incredibly fluffy cat.
Like a Persian or something?
Yeah. But
my God. I was just thinking like you could do a Persian one and then like if you step in water with it, it goes poof all up. That won't happen, but it would be hilarious.
Oh,
like
see, chat. I'm glad I'm hearing chat say that because it seemed like the World v World community was kind of resistant to this, but I see chat saying their World Guild is actually has target to recruit new people this week. So that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be a good way to turn around.
Yeah, that I don't know. I just think this is really cool. I like this.
Yeah, definitely. And like some of the basic stuff, it does require Path of Fire, so if you do have the newest expansion, you can pick this up. The one that basically unlocks gives you access to the mount, so makes sense.
Right.
They did stress that it does not save you from fall damage. And if the mount dies from fall damage, so do you. So, which I think is a good change from PvE where you could kind of use them to.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that would probably be a bit broken in World versus World. I could see how that would be a problem.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would assume that means that your fall damage traits also affect the fall damage you take on the mount. So fall damage traits, like
you don't get your PvE traits in there.
No.
Oh yeah, no,
No, I mean
because
like your
that's
literal character traits, like
Oh,
damage
okay.
character.
So like for Ranger, it's when you fall and you turn the ground to mud and it absorbs some
Yeah,
of the daint. Okay.
like because I know you don't get the effect of the masteries in
Mhm.
WW.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense.
So fall damage traits are probably still going to be relatively meta for WW.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They're a lot more. They're a lot more useful now since they did the usability pass a while ago. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's good.
They did say that there will be achievements tied to the War Claw.
Mhm.
You can't remount in combat. And I stress that you cannot remount in
Mhm.
combat. I know some people were worried about that, but you can remount in enemy territory. It's just they talk about it later with the movement, but you will move. You move faster in territory you own versus territory that's controlled by someone else. But we'll talk about that more when we talk about the movement stuff in particular. But it does have it requires 126 skill points to max out Warclaw Mastery, and you can't they will offer a free reset once Warclaw goes live. So just like they did with I think with the gliders. That way you can get it from right then and there. But there are things in game if you are watching this at a later date that you can buy in game to reset your talents through World v World itself, if you so desire. But it does have evade frames, kind of similar to the other mounts. And you can also acquire stealth while on the mount. So, holy crap! That appears out if a Zerg of that appears out of nowhere. Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that.
I'll have to get new leggings on my character. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, so that's the basics. The movement stuff that they talked about was movement speed will be faster than running, but I think they said not by much. But they did say, and as I stated before, movement speed is faster in your own territory versus enemy territory, and they say it does run similar to the Griffin speed in PVE. So, and that's the run speed, not the flight speed.
Right.
And I mean, I guess the other part is the skills, which I know a lot of people are wondering about. So we have Battle Maul. When upgraded to its superior version, can finish downed enemies. So that's pretty
Dang.
cool.
Yeah.
You also have Sniff, which makes enemy players briefly appear on your minimap. Does not reveal players or show enemies in stealth.
Oh damn.
So, and it's a 5,000.
It should. Stealth doesn't make you stop smelling. It should reveal them.
No, if you want to reveal people in stealth, you just use rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
Right, Age?
The other skill is chain pull. Only works on gates. Oh, that would have been so great if you could like string up a player and like ride them through like, maybe someday.
They said that might be like later on when they were.
Oh,
that's really cool if they get that.
Can I use that skill?
Yeah.
That'd be great if you could use the skill in PvE, but I think they already stated that you can't use these skills. There's going to be PvE stuff for PvE, but you can't. But that would be great if you went over to like just an NPC. Anyway, but yeah, so they say it only works on gates, 1 supply per pull action, and 3 players on a gate max, and it does 2,000 damage per pull. So
That's nice.
I kind of figured that they'd be using supply for it.
Right. I mean, it just makes sense.
yeah.
I do want to go back to something that Zacharias brought up. Apparently, Battle Maul apparently gets an upgraded thing once you do its WW Mastery track. Apparently, it has a 10 target cap, so you could potentially finish 10 downed enemies.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It has a pretty decent radius too, so that. Because the thing is, it's going to be interesting. So do you have half your Zerg on battle, like just ready to pounce on down enemies, or like
Right.
that's going to be the interesting.
And didn't they say like the health? It's what 12,000 or 16,000? Was it 12,000?
12,000.
Which
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's a lot," but I think even they stressed was like, "I don't think I've ever lived that long as with 12,000 health, and if you're running through a Zerg, because we don't know how much native armor natural armor it has, or
Mhm.
it might not have it. Like the mounts, I don't know. My mount tends to die in PvE if I try to run through a mob of things. I mean,
Mhm.
or gets pretty low.
Josh, I was talking about it last week. This is basically going to bring cavalry into WvW.
Right.
And cavalry was always used for flanking attacks in traditional warfare. So you're going to have the initial foot soldier fight, and then you'll have the cavalry come in. So with this improved battle maw stuff, the battle maw stuff, like finishing down players, is like you wait for the initial scrim, you wait for like downed players to start showing up, and then you send the cavalry in for cleanup.
Right.
So this is going to be really freaking cool for strategy in WvW.
I can see it now. We're defending a keep, and our foot soldiers defended the place well. I know, defending. And we're like, haha, we lost some people. Then their cats come over, just annihilate them. I'll be like, I'm out. See you. But you were gonna say something, Age?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how it works out. This is definitely more like a Zerg centric. This benefits Zergs a lot just because the way that you can go back to defend quickly, you have that finish when you upgrade, you have the chain pull, which kind of helps out a little bit. It depends on how much supply you want to burn, obviously.
Right.
But a lot of interesting little things here. Again, I don't know how it's going to affect World vs. World entirely. I'm a little less worried, I guess, than I was last week, but
I wonder, now I'm trying to think of it, when they did like the fun little weekends, like the only one I can think of right now is when there was no downstate. Like with this, if it eliminates 10 people, it's pretty close to a no downstate.
Well,
I'm wondering if those were like slight little tests leading towards the idea of other skills that a mount could have, or I mean, the one where it was you could easily get siege golems, giant, powerful things,
siege v siege Zergs.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think this was maybe testing the waters of the possibility of different skills and how they changed up World v. World in a way. But they did also say that they are interested in adding other stuff down the line, like different skills for World v. World, just not currently. It's not going to be at release. It's just going to be these couple as of now. But I don't know. Do you guys think there's what skill do they need in World v. World that the mount can do?
What skill do they need?
I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of being able to use the chain pull on a person and like drag them.
Yeah.
I think I can't think of anything right now. I think it's pretty solid the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how tactics change with the War Claw.
Right.
And then they could add stuff on top of that to either complement or, force people to think different ways about it.
Yeah, because I also like Kit's idea of spear people off their mounts. Maybe we could have a new siege thing to upgrade defense walls with, or even like small things like you could just spear people off their mounts, or even like siege traps and stuff like that, and different ones. But yeah, it could be. Oh yeah, throwing spears. I know. People want their throwing spears. You know what? Let War v. World have it, just so that way, for once, PvEers can be jealous of War v. Worlders. I'll be like, they got land spears. All of yarn traps.
I do think dismount traps are a thing that might happen, It's
That
like
would
if
be
it
cool,
dismounts
yeah.
you, puts you in combat, maybe cripples along with it.
But going back to their goals, do you guys think, from what we've heard, granted, we'll find out come this, coming up week, do you think from what it sounds like, they are making it easier to get into the fights, which I think that's a pretty standard. I mean, we are moving faster.
Yeah.
Do you think it stems a good chance of getting new players into World v. World?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like I said last week. It'll get new players in the mode for the mount. It may not necessarily keep all of them because the mode still needs work. But
Yeah. Hopefully it gets a little bit more people, or at least people familiar with it. So when they do drop the idea of the alliance system and maybe whatever else they have planned in between or whatnot,
right?
That it keeps on their radar. Hopefully. And I mean, I guess this one's pretty just. Did it add something new to World v. World? I mean, it added a mount,
right?
and like chat saying how Jim was saying, like, you're having the cavalry the possibility and stuff. So yeah, I can't wait. I think, and this is a concern I know everybody on here I think has had in the past, and what we've heard from multiple people is how Righteous Indignation's gonna work out, but hopefully we'll find out and play that by ear, and hopefully they have an update if it needs changing.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts on the World v. World mount?
Can't wait to see what it does. Be interesting.
And I mean, to do a shameless plug, after Vote to Kick on Wednesdays with Mount Thanos, like I said last week, we were planning on doing it, this last Wednesday. Unfortunately, since everything got pushed back, we're planning on still, I believe, doing it this Wednesday, and that'll be Vote to Kick's 8 p.m. Eastern to about 8:30ish. So, and we're on Yak's Bend, so more the merrier. I saw someone in chat saying, they'd like to join us. I believe someone else might be joining us. I'm not sure, but more the merrier. If you're there, if you're on Yak's Bend, come join us. If you're versing us, as I said before, shoo, I want my mount.
Everybody hunt down Deo and kill him.
No, that's a horrible game.
As I said last week, he's the Necro in all white.
Well, I might change mine. Not the look. I mean, you can't change Fashion Wars. I might go Revenant. Who knows? But anyway, it really all depends on what gets shifted around. I mean, because we're also supposed to be getting a balance update. And luckily, thankfully, they actually released the info about the balance update. And they kind of just showed. They kind of stressed that we've been preparing a set of balance changes that are slated to go live next Tuesday. We look forward to playing with you and discussing the changes to skills and traits once they're available next week. So while they showed it off early, at this time they weren't at the moment open to say speculating, because we haven't got it in our hands yet. So can't wait to hear all the crazy builds people come up with on Tuesday. But
Right.
as usual, we can go through each of them and kind of discuss them. And if chat, there's one that you want to talk about, here, I'll link the thing in chat just so you guys can stay ahead. We'll basically go in the order that it is on the post there, but But the first thing was, a general thing was, fixed a bug in which some ring effects with a range of 600 were appearing larger than they should. Also exhaustion, this effect now stacks in duration up to 3 times. And confusion, this no longer deals damage when a skill is prevented from activating due to an invalid position of the target relative to the caster. So that's kind of general stuff across all the boards, across all the professions. But yeah, let's go down through each of them. Let me see. What's the first one? Elementalist.
Elementalist.
Boons.
Yeah, I like that they said that they're trying to enhance the support role of Tempest. I think that's a good idea overall.
I'm wondering if we're going to see, because currently Overload Water is the only overload that hits 10 targets. I'm wondering if we're going to see the target caps on the other ones go up.
They should, but if they're trying to focus on the support roles, I don't think they would necessarily do that.
Well, the target cap for ally enhancement. So like,
okay,
might, then that's the reason why I worry, is because it's might generation for fire, it's protection for earth, and then I think it's swiftness.
Swiftness for electricity, air, yeah.
But I worry that, what do you want, Kat? I worry that, you know, those might be a little too strong, so they'd have to cut on like stacks or duration of boons applied.
Yeah.
Sand Squall is dumb. Sand Squall is the Earth Warhorn ability. I think it's 5. It's a blast finisher. It extends boons on targets affected by a flat amount, which is now 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds.
Right.
And now it affects 10 targets. So that's going to be crazy. I know Elementalist Tempest healers are already a thing in raids. I was talking with Savage in chat.
I like that they're adding Fury to Rebound. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I had a thought about it and now I forgot.
10 people shouts from a trait.
That's cool. I know what it was. I don't get the changing of Conjure Ice Bow to Frostbow. Like, that seems like such a weird and random thing. Like,
well, because the skill was always Conjure Frostbow, but the object it pulled in was an Ice Bow. So it's literally just changing the yellow text that pops up when you mouse thing.
Okay. You're saying that the two names, the skill was one thing, and the thing that actually popped up was named another thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. Ever.
Me
I've used
neither.
that skill so many times, and I've never once noticed that. That's funny. Okay.
Did someone, because you know you always have people like in chat during like Zarg or something, like drop a frostbow. They're like, and like the person's looking around like, why did you drop the frostbow? It's right there. That's an ice bow. I want the frostbow.
What?
Right. I've never. That's so funny. I'm really amused that I never noticed that. Like I said, I can't even like count the number of times I've used that skill. I never noticed that. Okay.
But yeah, that's all that was.
These are pretty much more raid-centric changes for Tempest, just to bring up more boons. I'm not sure what gives the most boons these days. I think it was like Firebrand and Druid, I think is the most, and then Chronomancer kind of complements them as well with quickness and increasing boon duration. But I've seen a lot of people kind of excited for this because it's going to be one of the other things that they can add as well. I'm not sure about War vs. World themselves because, you know, War vs. World likes boons as well. I guess you go more tanky support with this.
Well, Chad believes it might not beat out the Firebrand for its effectiveness, so I don't know. We'll definitely see.
Yeah, and then there's PvP. This might help Tempest get back into it just a little bit. I'm not sure, just because all the corruption conversion that can happen, but maybe. Heal Tempest was really good back in the day, so this might help a little.
Yeah, chat saying from possibly a World War standpoint, one support Tempest for every 2 sub parties. So
yeah, that's why I see like one support Tempest for the entire group.
Any other thoughts on the Elementalist?
Elementalist approved.
You heard it here first. Next up we have the Engineer. So what is happening with the Engineer?
The biggest thing is that you can't attack gyros anymore.
Yeah, it was an interesting change, but I guess, you know, it kind of works like a minion, but
No,
Yeah.
not even like a minion. It's just an apply effect to self.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
gyros are no longer entities.
Oh.
And some of them like follow the scrapper around, which is
I think they all do. Like all the ones.
some of them have like instant actions, and I think the other ones follow the scrapper around.
Okay, Chad's saying yeah, it turns them more into wells. Okay. Dang.
Point blank AoE centered on self.
Yeah.
They all look like fields that follow the engineer.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of the toolkit, the tool belt skills, like the tool belt skill for the medic gyro was the one that created the water field that did protection. That's what that's just what gyros are now. Could you stop bumping the mic, please?
She's like, no, that's what I do.
Torch 5 on the Berserker or Torch 4 on Guardian. So you just apply an aura to yourself that is a field, which synergizes really well with a lot of the leaps and whirls that you get from Hammer on a Scrapper. So you basically just get a crap ton of combo field capability with your gyros.
See, Chad, as we go through this, I'm like support Scrapper. I'm like, maybe I'll play my Scrap. Now I'm like going through other things for like what I'm going to be possibly playing on War of Your World on Wednesday. So,
I think it's gonna make Scrapper super tanky.
I like not dying
and have some decent damage too. It's gonna. I think this will be fun for, especially the gyro. I don't think everyone will take like all the gyros, but like, especially
I'm really happy to see the gyros get a bit of attention because they tended to lag behind the engineer more than made them useful. And I always thought that was a bit of a problem.
Any other thoughts on the Engineer? It sounds like we can't wait to see it on Tuesday when it drops.
Flamethrower 2 is now ground targeted as opposed to...
I forgot about that, yeah.
So.
But yeah, next up we have the Guardian. Alright, so what good things are in store for the Guardian?
More concentration passively. The Honorable Staff trait now gives 120 concentration plus an additional 120 while wielding a staff.
Huh.
Well, I think that was one of the things they did with the pass they did on weapon skills a while ago, is that it would always give you something.
Oh, right.
Necessarily only when you were using the weapon. And I don't think Honorable Staff had that.
Okay.
And then True Shot Longbow 2 for Dragon Hunters is now a 1500 range skill.
Wow.
Yeah. The True Shot's like it's a pretty heavy nuke. And it's on like a 3-second cooldown. So
oh wow.
Yeah, it's a really spammable ability. So it's gonna be a pretty crazy deal. Everything else I think is mostly Amplified Wrath is was the trait that I think it's a minor that burned when blocking. Now it just buffs the burn passive from Justice by 20%. So your primary burn output now just gets free 20% Condi duration. on Guardian.
Cool.
And Chad saying on the roaming side, a dragon hunter is more scary now. So yeah. Yeah, Age, as the resident roaming thief, how do you feel about dragon hunter with a longer range?
They go more Condi. It's scarier that if they go more Condi than anything else. I don't think Dragon Hunter. I think Dragon Hunter is more power focused anyway. So the true shot, I just have to be a bit more careful for it, I guess. Overall, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I think it's more like there's decent support updates in this as well, and they tone down a little bit of the damage for PvP. That's what I'm mostly seeing, and they get some love to Dragon Hunter. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, sounds like all pretty good changes for the Guardian. Any other thoughts on Guardian before we move to the next one?
I feel like Guardian's with the possible exception of PvP, is in a pretty decent place. But yeah,
I can agree with that. I honestly think it's just Firebrand. I've complained about it before. It's just Firebrand is about zone control, and that's what PvP is. So it's always going to feel naturally stronger in the game mode. So it's going to be a tight balance act to get that in line. But all in all, I completely agree with Age in that Guardian is in a very good spot right now.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of being in a very good spot, the next one, right? Mesmer, right? Perfectly fine. Everybody's happy about Mesmer.
Mirage Nurse, yay.
Yeah, seeing some people's reactions to Mesmer, well, it doesn't seem like they're too happy about it.
Killian, I don't know why people are sending hate your way. I mean, you probably have played Mesmer long before it was strong. You just happened to end up. You ended up with the roulette wheel
to it because it's strong. There's no reason to send hate. Like, right. I mean, that's just the way it is.
The one thing, Savage, if you're still in chat, the nerf to Signet of Inspiration from extending boons from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, I feel like they are trying to remove chronos from the sole boon uptime raid utility. Like, I feel like there's a lot of targeted nerfing to pull chronos out of the dedicated boon duration slot.
Yeah, because what was the skill that got nerfed? I'm trying to find
Signet of
it.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
It's 5 second boon increase to 3 second, and it's a 20
they lowered
second
the cooldown.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Right. I don't think that change will do it, but I think it, because they did hit Signet Inspiration's boon the duration, but they lowered the recharge time, and Well of Recall got a reduction as well. So it's like more alacrity anyway, uptime anyway.
Well, then they added more alacrity too, because Tides of Time, the Shield 5, is now one usability buffs where it will always return to the point where you cast it, and it's quickness out, alacrity in, instead of quickness both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So they added more alacrity uptime to Chrono. But I figure...
Yeah, it's just facilitating more skill play. So if you miss your Tides of Time, possibly you won't have as much alacrity uptime for Signet Inspiration. I still think Well of Recall will be enough, right? And if you shatter, so
apparently there are people dodging out of wells.
That's their problem.
I see Kitten Theory complaining about that on Twitter, and it's just like, white circle good, red circle bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, any circle bad.
And then all the Mirage hits, it kind of reduced a little. I think it was the survivability. I think
Survivability and a lot of the damage output. Like they hit damage output across the board. I think just The biggest thing I think is Mirage Cloak, where the evade frames they had an expanded evade window when compared to a standard player dodge, and they got rid of that.
Oh, they hit a legionary ambush too. Jeez.
Yeah, no, they hit basically all of the primary damage outputs of a Mirage, which I don't know if all of this is warranted, but I know at least some of this is warranted because it just felt bad fighting a Mirage.
Yeah, it also hits in addition to the general confusion update as well. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, because you'd be constantly trying to use a skill and the Mirage would keep blipping around and you'd get the skill fails.
If that's a thing, yeah. So
wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But the problem with Mirage when I look at it, it's like on paper it doesn't look that bad, but it's the constant flow of just being able to like do your actions, I guess. That was the problem. So it seems like with the increase in cooldowns and a little bit of reduction in damage, they're trying to like really like have some like you can breathe at some point.
Yeah, like you can wait out the cooldowns of a Mirage and then counterattack at some point.
Yeah. But, we'll see how people.
Yeah, I was saying that's the thing they kind of stress at the very top. It's like, seeing this stuff on paper, like, in a vacuum type thing. Just wait till you get your hands on it. So hopefully it's not as bad, once it's all mixed in with everything else. We shall see. Any other thoughts on the Mesmer? All right. Well, next up we have the Necromancer. So, how is our Necromancer doing? We're going to be doing
Reaper damage buffs.
Really?
Oof.
Nightfall is the Greatsword 4, 50% damage buff in PvE.
Only PvE. Yeah, that's the important thing.
But base 2 of the shouts, base cooldowns reduced, damage increased by 40%. They got damage buffs. Like Nightfall is just I literally just looked it up. It is a 4 pulse field.
Mm-hmm.
You drop that on a boss's feet, and you don't have to do anything.
Right.
Like it just.
What build is that?
Do you have a Greatsword on a Necromancer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you got it.
All right, that's my favorite build.
You have to be a Reaper, but yeah. It's I don't know. I think they should have buffed it in PvP though, but whatever.
Nightfall, it already does blind and cripple.
It can do more.
It's plenty good for PvP.
It can do more. It's fine.
The Unending Corruption trait, which was, so I go to a build calculator to grab this. It was Master Tier Scourge 3. Manifest Sandshade corrupts boons on foes near it.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed that to Herald of Sorrow, which turns Desert Shroud into Harbinger Shroud. So the F5 for Scourges, removing the pulsing effects of Shroud, and instead creates a single detonation after a 3-second delay, where it deals the damage, the corruption, and conditions in one strike while also granting barrier to allies.
Oh, that trait sounds cool.
Yeah, so it is a delayed action AoE support and offense skill. Which I like the fact that they removed a lot of the pulsing corruption, because I thought that was kind of like, that's one of the reasons I don't like fighting Scourges, is because you can't give yourself boons because they're just going to turn into conditions. So having a larger window before your boons, before all of your boons are turned into conditions is nice. And it makes it less of a no-brainer, because honestly, in comparison to the other two on that particular trait line, I think that makes it more in line with things.
Well, definitely going to be interesting for Necros.
You've got a point, Zachary Alex.
Any other thought? Oh, go ahead.
I just think that Harbinger Shroud is going to be better. Might even be better than Desert Shroud at some points, because the number of pulses you have is apparently 7. So.
Oh, you're thinking for stuff where you wouldn't necessarily get all the ticks, but you can time it to get the single detonation?
Yeah. It might reward skill play in that case, which is really good.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, kind of can't wait to. Maybe now I'm thinking, maybe I will go with my Necro. but Jim has already identified him to everybody. But yeah, I know, poor me. Any other thoughts on the Necro?
I think they should buff Reaper more and nerf Scourge.
I think they should just buff Minion Master. Unlimited minions.
Unlimited minions.
Yes.
Of course you would want that.
Yes. I will be my own Zerg War of your world. Anyway, let's move on to the Ranger.
Stance nerfs. Soul Beast stance nerfs. Spirit buffs. Spirits are now like old Necro flesh minions where they can be healed. They have steadily degenning health. Using a spirit skill teleports the spirit to you. Doesn't kill it, but spends part of its health.
That's awesome.
So technically, if the spirit is getting healed, you actually have the opportunity to continuously use the spirit.
Right.
Except, which I love the thing that they did for the was it Spirit of Nature? The Spirit of Nature, yeah. Nature's Renewal, the one that reses people. It drops its HP by 30% per resed player, but it can still do up to 5.
Right.
They did buff all the boons that they give out too. So
yep. Just overall big buffs to spirits and usability for spirits, which
they needed, because there were so many issues with using them that most of the time it was like, what's the point?
Right. Well, it got to the point where it was like, do I use the skill and then just kill the spirit, or do I keep the spirit up? It's a difficulty. So, but that's pretty much it. Like some minor changes, but spirit buffs, Soul Beast stance nerfs, mostly in PvP and WW.
Yep.
So basically, the spirits, they move with you now, is what I'm.
They
teleport.
You
hit a thing and they can teleport to you.
You use their flip over skill and they blink to your location.
Man, great. Now I'm looking at this going, I used to like Enhancement Shaman on WoW, and this is kind of like you get like their totems, and I'm like, crap, I can't make a decision.
Yeah, what is it? When it's passive pulses, they lose a percentage of their max health. Range is now 1,000 from 600. They now die automatically if you move beyond 5,000 from it. And fix the bug that caused underwater spirits to use their unique skill when killed.
Well, lots of cool things coming for the Ranger. Can't wait to see how people like the new way the spirits work. Any other thoughts on Ranger?
Yay.
Yay.
Next up, we have the Revenant.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know enough about Revenant to really talk about. There's a lot of ability here that I kind of know are Revenant skill names.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem. Even though I play Revenant, I haven't really changed my build since I.
Yeah.
It's like they're doing a little bit of what they want to do for Thief and use vulnerability in terms of a source of increased damage.
Oh,
Some of the
okay.
changes. Did a bunch of changes with Song of the Mist.
Is Song of the Mist the one that you get a buff when switching to a?
I believe so. I'm not sure exactly.
The skill calculator. Pretty sure that's an invocation.
Hammer's fine. Don't nip it because I use it.
Invoking a legend casts a skill based on the legend you invoke. So yeah, when you switch to a legend, it gives you a buff.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like some bug fixes. But it's very interesting that they did the vulnerability changes. They buffed in terms of vulnerability. They did buff the power builds, but they also buffed the Connie builds as well, and there were a little bit of Connie build changes as well in terms of the Call the Renegade a little bit.
Mace 2, Searing Fissure, it is more front-loaded now. So if things move out of it, you're not as screwed.
Yeah. Call the Dragon actually got burning. I didn't know that. Huh. That's very interesting because like Glint was more like a gives burning. That's an interesting I didn't know about. Yeah, nerf burst pretty much overtime damage because that's what the vulnerability attempts to do. So the more vulnerability you have, the more damage you do, but you have to like ramp it up in order to do it.
All things considered, running sword, you don't have much of a problem with vuln.
Any other thoughts on Revenant? All right. Well, next up we have Thief.
Age, can you give us your unhindered opinions on this?
Unhindered. Okay, so the thing is, mostly what they're trying to do is, so the first thing is that they're trying to incorporate more skillful play. They're trying to make Pistol Dagger a thing for our Condi setup. And they're trying to give a little bit of love to Repeater, which is like only main hand pistol, and you have nothing in your offhand. They're trying to make that show, and they buffed Shadow Step for some reason. I don't know why. And the biggest change that I guess some Deadass will be mad about is the Silent Scope, because the duration of this stealth went from 3 to 1, which honestly kind of makes the trait kind of not worth, in my opinion, unless you want the extra precision.
To be fair, 3 seconds in PvP and WvW of stealth every time you dodge roll is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but it's like the whole idea is that you dodge an attack, relocate, and then you start shooting. But people use it to stack up stealth instead. Yeah, that's why they did it. So anyway, they buffed pistol main hand and with no offhand, because what they're doing with Pistol Dagger is that when you have the third skill in Pistol Dagger is called Shadow Strike, and when you hit that, and when that hits, it turns into a Repeater, which is the only main hand, no offhand 3 skill. So
basically, they're giving you access to a skill where you didn't have access to before.
Yeah, it's a lower tier. It's a lower tier unload, I guess.
It's like half the number of shots, basically.
Yeah.
So, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, what do you think about the exhaustion boon?
That's reward skill play. So, right now it's flat 4 seconds of exhaustion, but now it depends on what condition you have. So I guess like if you have all 3 conditions, it'll take the highest one. But at least you get rid of all 3 at the same time. But if you just have chill, then you get 3 seconds of exhaustion. If you get chilled 3 times, it stacks up to 3, so it's 9. So max you can have is 4, I guess. But that's if you're spamming it. If you dodge properly and dip in and out and all that stuff, then it's not as bad. That's why I'm saying it kind of rewards skill play in that respect.
Right. If you dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
Yeah, so it doesn't reward spamming dodge, pretty much.
I'm okay with that. That sounds good.
Do you think, and I kind of see Chad bringing up about from the World v. World stance, is this going to make it easier or harder for them to be more of the roamers?
It's going to make them more like, they're going to see a lot of pistol dagger thieves, I'll tell you that much. They're going to try it out. I am not convinced it'll work. Like there might be like a gimmicky PvP build at best, but I don't think it'll work for roaming. In terms of roaming, the shadow step changes, I guess, is nice. You're going to see Deadeye is going to be a little bit sad because of the stealth change, but we'll see how they get around that. That's about it. Yeah.
Well, can't wait to find out. Last up, but certainly not least, I think they made out probably really interestingly, was the Warrior.
Before we dip into the big change, Winds of Disenchantment, the Spellbreaker Elite, is now a channeled point-blank AoE.
Oh.
So you carry the effect with you. WvW Spellbreakers, you don't get to bomb choke points with this anymore.
I really like that change just because of that, because at least Warriors will have to be upfront positioning that bubble now. I know like a lot of Warriors are mad about that, especially the World ones, but like I feel like that was a fair change.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's a good change. Honestly, this might get the duration back up in WW/PvP, if only because you have to basically put yourself into danger to use it. But I'm not surprised they're leaving it at 5 seconds for now. As for the big change to Warriors is banners. Friendly players can no longer pick up banners. You can only pick up your own.
Yay!
So yeah, that's great.
Best change ever.
So yeah, can they frame that and like
put it up on the wall? Like, oh look, cat.
Literally sell it in their physical store. I'll buy one so I can just have that little. Oh my god, thank you.
Banners Banners are no longer pick-upable items. It's not a word, but you know what I mean. Only the Warrior that some of them can pick them up. All of the stats are now 100 at level 80. Durations for all the banners are now 60 seconds. Utility slot banners are now 80-second recharges. And picking up a banner now reduces its recharge by 60 seconds.
Oh,
that's great, because what about the long cooldown for when I leave a fight? Well, go pick up your banner, just like engineers have to go pick up their turrets.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the next fight, you have at least your utility banners. Battle Standard, the Elite, the one that reses, now is a damage skill and finishes downed opponents.
Oh wow.
It's a small AoE from what it says. It's a 180 radius. And foes who are downed get finished by Battle Standard.
Wow, that's really cool. So thieves aren't the only one who could do that now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like it's, I dig it. Like it's really cool. And then Inspiring Battle Standard no longer gives regen. So rip heal warriors. 5 seconds of swiftness when dropping or picking up a banner. All buffs gained are now doubled. So it's plus 200 stat instead of plus 100. I
might play Warrior and War Swift again.
Like the banners, this is a really good change to banners.
I kind of just want to play it for Battle Standard. But yeah. Those are some really cool. I really like the banner changes, especially in raids where there's always have to move to a different location, so you can just pick up the banners and drop them again.
Yep.
That's really nice.
And then it basically just becomes like you'd be able to basically use banners on soul walls before Gorsaval. Probably like, you wouldn't be I don't think you'd have them for every wall, but you'd have the first and third probably.
Well, people stay in the middle more often than not, but I'm talking more about fights like
Oh no, I meant like the tunnel leading up to Gorsaval. I'm thinking about like serious movement kind of things. So
yeah, you could do that. Huh.
But I honestly think you'll see a lot more like you'll actually see battle standard in PvP now. Because now it has offensive utility and defensive utility. And the number of times I've seen multiple people downed on both sides of a fight in mid, at like the start of the game or close to like the end of a really close game, a battle standard would be pretty clutch right there.
Is there? I need to see the cast time for battle standard though, like for the finisher that, because I think that'll play into it a lot too.
But other than that, I actually do have to get going. Something came up. So chat, I hope to see you all for Zero to Hero on Wednesday, where me and Deo and other people will be going to grab our battle cats. So have your He-Man cosplay ready. But Paige, Arlie, hope you all have a fantastic day. I got to get going. Peace out.
Agent Arlie. Okay, I see. Okay. Yeah, see ya.
Well, Deo, I already know you're gonna be pre-gaming for Wednesday, so you got to get your game face on.
Yeah, I got to figure out which one to pick. Everybody's making it so enticing.
Anyway, peace.
All right, take care, man. And yeah, while I fix the boxes and stuff, any other thoughts on the warrior? I see chat kind of going back and forth debating the what is it, Winds of Disenchantment type thing, and I totally understand. It is definitely seems worrisome if you're a warrior main, especially in War v World.
You can't use it to like block chokes and fire into people, which was just annoying. Because then you have like a chain of warriors always dropping it. Like,
Yeah, so I remember that. Or I was like, this is just not fun because it's just basically creating a door that you can't break down. It's like,
right.
Yeah, I like this Winds of Disenchantment just because you can use it to cover escapes. You can use it to actually engage, like close the gap somewhat. Like I see a lot of ways you can use it. So. I just really like the banner change too. Like, that's really nice. It's like moving, because if you're playing Banner Warrior, you kind of have to place your banners at the right times. Because you have to wait for Alacrity to take down your banners a lot faster. Now it's just like when you're moving, or when you know when you need to replace your banners to different positions, you can actually do that. I really like that. That's really cool.
It definitely seems like it'll be interesting, but yeah, 2-second charge time, yeah, on banners, yeah, you're definitely gonna have to be more strategic with it, but
yeah, well, yeah, kind of, well, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're saying, wait till you get get to try it all out all together come Tuesday. So we shall see if everybody's worries are warranted or just, we just didn't have the ability to play with it yet type thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are excited for the Elementals one. I think that's a good one. The Engineer Gyro thing is really cool. Guardian, I'm not sure. Honestly, it feels like just like relatively the same. Mesmer, Mirage, definitely you're going to see a lot of changes. We'll see how effective it's going to be. Necromancer, Reaper changes are going to be huge. Ranger, the Spirits is definitely the biggest thing. Revenants, it's kind of okay. I'm not honestly sure how those changes are gonna be. Thief is gonna be Pistol Dagger. We're gonna see how good that is. I don't know. And Warriors, mostly the banners and wins edition tournament, so that's pretty huge. So,
Well, like I said, that'll all drop Tuesday. It was just a little taste of what they're planning on doing. So, I know a couple topics we wanted to bring up last week, but just because of the situation and how long it was, we figured we'd bring it, save it for this week or which I don't know. I feel like one can easily lead into the other, but I know some people were talking about last week on Reddit. Someone was basically saying, all in all, asking where is the hype, and it kind of stemmed from they basically were saying how their last friend left the game, and they were basically wondering why they were still playing. And kind of concerns that people brought up. They had no idea what is coming to the game. We were talking about that communication stuff earlier. And they were basically asking, all they were saying was all they really know is that another season is following after the last episode of season 4. But they did say some of the concerns that their friends had when they were leaving was this is from them. This is every Living World episode is the same. It's getting predictable. PvP and War World are being neglected and are a mess. The maps feel empty of people / devoid of content. They've also stressed that their friends brought up they don't feel any sense of reward playing the game anymore, and everything has become formulaic, which I definitely like to know chat's thoughts on it, as well as like we can kind of go bit by bit if you want. But
like in the points, or
yeah, like how do you guys feel about every Living World episode is the same? Like
I don't know how. From what I understood, it's just that the transition of the story, they wanted to move in a different direction, and in order to do that, they kind of needed a season or half a season in order to do that. And I think that's what they're doing right now, trying to get into this good place to tell a better, more structured story. But as far as how that started and where it's going to go, I'm not sure. But in terms of every Living World episode feeling the same, I feel like it's the same in terms of, oh, you have to do all these hards. Oh, you have to do map completion. Oh, you have to do these achievements to get the special thing. Like, I think that kind of ties in with the formulaic.
I was just going to say, it seems like that's connected.
Yeah. So...
And I don't know. I feel like most of this, like except for like the one point about PvP and World, really feels like it's coming from a PvE standpoint from maybe their friends.
Maybe. Because I think the only thing you could say that's very different is, obviously the story that's being told, the maps, and but everything else kind of has that same formula that's been working. But
I feel like the storytelling in this current season has been the best it's been, like, ever.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one clips that portion, because you probably didn't sell it too well. Oh, yeah, the story's great. Oh, go ahead and put it down.
It's more like,
I just found it funny that it was paired so nicely next to a yawn.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I forgot where was this. I think it was the start. I think it was Living World season 3. Is that they want to transition from the story there into like a better structured story, and I think that's kind of what the second. Well, I won't say second half. Maybe the last couple episodes of season 4 was. And I think I like the last episode of this season just because it leaves you with a lot of questions. So that's I feel like if a story can, an episode can do that, like have you wonder what's going to happen in the next one. Even now, like it's been a month since we played it, so 2 months even.
Yeah.
So I think that's good storytelling. But I think in terms of the predictability of what's going to be in it, I think maybe it needs a little shakeup. Maybe 1 or 2 things.
Well, I mean, to be
You mean
fair,
outside of like what happens story wise, like the other things that we
Yeah,
get?
not the story.
Okay.
I mean, like the patch itself.
Right.
In terms of the episode, is it formulaic? You think the episode?
I mean, I don't like. I mean, formulaic in the sense of like, yes, it does have like if you take a season in general, it has the beginning bit and
It has a beginning,
action
middle, and end. Woo!
yeah, I was gonna say formulaic in that aspect, but
That's
I
a
mean,
story.
yeah, predictable story wise. I mean, it's been long enough, so we're not, if you haven't played the story stuff yet, I mean, we're not going to try to shield you from spoilers anymore. But did people really think they were going to truly kill off Arene at this point? I mean,
No, that's kind of the one twist, right?
yeah.
Let's take Living Story season 3 for example.
Okay.
Do you?
I think the big twist was, oh my god, what we originally thought was the Mersat coming back, or last remaining Mersat.
Mm-hmm.
At first, like that, I think they did that well, because at first it's like, wait, you want to be our ally? Like, what's going on here? And then it turns into, oh, it's not even a Mersat, or it's a former god. Like,
Right.
Like it just kind of reminds me of, like, I thought it did well of a couple different plot twists, which I don't think you can do that every season, because once again it would probably become predictable. Like, okay, what's the first plot twist going to be? So I think changing up the number of times there's going to be twists to it is nice, but honestly, recalling back season 3, it makes it feel like, remember that that Family Guy episode where they like, it cuts away and it's like making fun of like Jerry Springer shows and stuff, where he's like, I have a secret, I'm not really a man, I'm a, like, what was it, I'm a horse, and then he's like, I'm not really a horse, I'm a broom, and it just it's like,
right.
and that's what kind of felt with like the whole Balthazar thing was, it's like, oh my god, the Mersat, he's returning, like, and you had like the little hint with like the raid stuff, but it's like, then it's like, wait, he wants to be our friend? This isn't like how it is for the last 250 plus years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's now just a former god, like, ugh.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, it's for a variety of reasons it's hard for me to parse out like what was surprising in episode or season 3. But like this season, I feel like there's been 2 big surprises. Like, I didn't expect this to be done with Joko in the 3rd episode. Like, that surprised me. I was like, wait, what? Like, because I thought he was going to be the big thing for the whole season. Like, that's just what I expected. And then when we transitioned to focus on Krakatorik, like, I didn't expect in this last episode that we would beat him, because we know we should have 1 more episode. But at the same time, I also didn't expect what happened to it happen. Like, what I would have expected the events at the end of the last episode at the end of next episode. Like, if they had ended a season there, that would have made sense to me. Now I'm sitting here going, I don't know what's going to happen, like, literally. So
yeah, I'm kind of curious if for these people, if it's predictable. Tell me what you think is going to happen in this next episode, because I think I'm right there with Robin. At this point, it felt like that was like a big cliffhanger to like lead you strong for the next season, but we still have 1 more episode. It's like,
yeah.
And I really hope they wouldn't release an episode where it's just like everybody's just sad for 2.5 hours. Like, it's like, go. It's like go visit Rox and see how she feels about it. Now go visit Ritlock and see how he feels about it. Go visit Marjorie and Cass and see how. Like, I hope they don't do that. Like maybe the first instance, kind of like how they did with Air and stuff like that. Sure,
Right.
but
Oh, we're gonna get those stories. The
yeah,
block stories for the other two.
yeah. I'm kind of curious where those, because we still need the two other
Yeah,
ones.
was it Keith and Saphira? I think it was.
People are heavily speculating on it with the silhouettes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think in terms of the season, it's kind of easy to see where it flows through, because it's kind of like the first half of the season is past Guild Wars history creeping back up, and then the second half is more dealing with what Guild Wars 2 is focused on, because let's see, last season, like Live World Season 3, it was like mostly focused on White Mantle, Mersat, and then we dealt with Guild Wars 2 situation of, who Lazarus really was into Balthazar. It's like, oh, we're back on track with what Guild Wars 2 story should be. And then in Season 4, it was more Palau Joko, and then I felt it kind of got cut off, and then now we're dealing with Krakatork again. That's the type of deal. In terms of understanding that type of flow that they have already, I feel like it's not like a deal breaker for me, but it's like, I know this is going to be kind of the flow they go with. I read chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I don't feel necessarily like every single episode is the same. I just feel like the content that's put in.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Chad brought up, was like you have a couple hearts, you have roughly a 2-hour story, and right now at this point a legendary, which that's going to be my curiosity for Season 5, because I'm assuming the last episode of Season 4 is going to bring us the last legendary weapon that is, was required from the, Heart of Thorns deal, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how to word it, but the promise that was given in Heart of Thorns. So I'm curious, Season 5, are they going to have something else that's going to be enticing to people to go after besides story itself? Or
well, I've been wondering about it too, because like I think I've mentioned before, the rate at which we get new maps is, I think it's long-term problematic. Like,
yes.
I don't think we can really keep this up, a map with every episode. But I also know that if they suddenly just didn't give us a new map, that people would freak out. And I don't know what they could replace with that. And like, it makes sense now at this point, people are used to getting legendaries fairly regularly too. And I mean, maybe they could just keep making more legendaries too, but I don't know if that's
I was actually thinking that when we were thinking about kind of stuff like that, and Zagreus brings it up, is like new legendary armor. We tend to have 6 episodes? That'd be 6 armor pieces. One each episode, and
I don't think they'll be legendary though. I think they'll be like
right.
a unique armor piece, like in
if they did armor, they'd have to make it equally as difficult to get as it is for getting it in raid, or as getting it like
PvP World.
Thank you. Yeah, my brain was just so I don't know. That to me, that makes it problematic, tying a legendary armor piece to a story.
Well, it wouldn't be directly tied to the story as much as the legendary is. I mean, the legendary isn't
right. No, I don't mean like part of the story. I mean, the things that you get in there are usually related to things you do in the story or whatever. It just, I don't know. I feel it would be a weird like combination to me. Legendary chairs. I mean, like it. A legendary chair would be one where you can sit at, and then you get buttons that you can change your character's position and how they're sitting in the chair. That would be a legendary chair.
There you go. But you were kind of hitting on the point, we brought this up many times, like, and this is the point that they brought up, was the maps feel empty of people, devoid of content. I think that was one of our biggest concerns, was this promise that they had of releasing a new map each living story was definitely going to catch up with people, especially when these are never bundled in with anything besides themselves, like their own season.
Right.
Where it's like you're going to splinter the player base through those themselves. I mean, because we always were saying, it's like, oh, it'd be nice if like we were saying before, and a lot of people thought it as well, was, oh, Heart of Thorns, oh, it doesn't come with season 2, or oh, POF, oh, it doesn't come with the previous seasons, or at least a bundle that maybe offers it or something, or. But yeah, I think that might also not help in the long run of making those newer maps that utilize the mechanics, newer mechanics, which might be interesting to people. It does splinter the population. Yeah, like Chad's saying, they feel season 2 makes Hot much better. Yeah, it's definitely
a discounted bundle.
Yeah. Or like if you bought the collector's edition or something, then they'll throw that in there.
Right.
So maybe not make it the initial purchase, but we shall see how things go forward. But yeah, I mean, and along the lines of PvP and World we World are being neglected and are a mess. I know people have brought that up many times. I mean, they're slowly working on World v World. It's just such a big undertaking. I mean, the systems that they're trying to put in place. PvP, I mean, Age, you might be able to talk more.
If you fix balance, PvP will be fine.
That's ultimately the hard problem.
Fixed balance is not easy.
It's not I'm not saying that as an ultimatum. I'm saying get it in a good spot.
Right. Well, like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they go through cycles where balance in PvP is good, and then they add something new or they change something, and then they fall into the issue where bunkering becomes a big thing again, and then they've got to like tweak everything to make it work again, and it takes a while to get all of that stuff to gel.
Yeah, it's literally the biggest issues with balance has come after every expansion.
Yeah.
It takes them a while to balance. I think this time around I thought about it, and I think it's because of the other projects that they're working on. Maybe they didn't have enough people to do all the balancing stuff. Maybe that was the reason. I don't know.
Maybe. At the very least, it could be a contributing factor.
Yeah, because when Hot came out, it took them at least like 6 months to get the game in a good spot again.
Right.
And this time it's taken them over a year, which was a very big problem. So.
Right.
And I mean, we've talked countless times about, and they bring it up, if they don't have a feeling of any sense of reward playing the game anymore, which it depends on how much you've done. And I think we were talking about it even before the show with you, Robin, was, a lot of people say, I have nothing, there's nothing to do in the game, and it's like, well, did you do this? Well, no, I don't like doing that. It's like, okay, well, there's, basically there's a difference between I've done everything and it's I've done everything I've wanted to do.
But
which is fine either way. What's that?
You're supposed to know that.
It's essentially the same difference between people being like, this game is shit, and it's shit because I don't like it. Like, those are two different things.
Yeah, I mean, like, what game don't I like? I don't know. Help me out here.
Age likes every game.
I don't.
Destiny
2. I don't like the game for personal reasons, but I still think it's a pretty decent game.
It's pretty well done, especially at this point with the changes they made with Forsaken. But I'm not going to go back to it and play it for a variety.
I just don't feel like I should buy 2 expansions that people didn't like in order to get my fixes.
No, it's perfectly fair to want content you enjoy. But and I've said this before, like I'm kind of at the point where I've been playing other games, but I come back for Living Story. But I'm not going to sit here and go, they need to up their Living Story time, because they're humans and there are other game modes they have to pay attention to. Otherwise, you're going to run it in a state of, how people view PvP in World v World. It's like they kind of have to shift their focus on things. And
Yeah, it's about having a good balance of giving all the modes content, but that others don't feel neglected.
Right.
And that's the problem they've been struggling with, honestly.
Yeah, for a long time.
And that's the thing. It kind of reminds me, we talked about a video this probably about a year now. I can't remember the person who did it, but it was, they were kind of like looking at like games like Overwatch and, you know, all the battle royale games that are coming out and stuff, and comparing it to MMOs, where especially since MMOs became such a juggernaut because of WoW making it popular, a lot of game companies have to, and are supposedly expected to, be a game for everyone. So it includes PvP, World v World, and PvE. But as you can see here, it is very hard to balance for all that stuff, especially when things shift around. Whereas you look at Overwatch, they're only balancing for one game mode type.
They've dropped the ball for 6 months.
Also, I want to clarify for Josh too, like, it's totally fine if like there's a game that you don't like and it doesn't have content you want to do, whatever. My issue basically comes up a lot on forums and various like Twitter and stuff, like where somebody will mention that they're thinking about playing a game, and people will respond, and this happens with Guild Wars 2 all the time. People will respond, be like, there's nothing to do in Guild Wars 2. And that's an issue because it's not true. Like, you don't know that other person. They might like the things that you don't like to do and consider not counting as content because you don't like it. That's mostly where my issue comes from. Like, it's a problem when you don't specify that kind of stuff in that kind of setting.
Yeah, because then it gets taken out of proportion from, you know, someone else that hears this and takes it as, but yeah.
Yeah.
You said it, not me, Josh, but well, yeah. But you know, they talked about also they don't feel you know, like they said, they don't feel any sense of reward playing the game, which kind of leads into it's fairly understandable, and it kind of leads into the other Reddit post that kind of cropped up last week, and like I said, we really didn't get to it, but another thing that maybe help people see content in the game better is reworking the rewarding, like a content guide system. And we kind of have the images from the Reddit post, but since it's been a week, I'll throw the link in chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, links are in the description, but people can familiarize themselves with it. But they were basically thinking of a system that would revitalize and properly reuse all PvE content. So, and you know, theoretically, this could be generalized into World v World and PvP, but yeah, current and upcoming. So they were looking kind of at and inspired by the Diablo 3 bounty system. But I do have the images here that they kind of show like a bare bones, like how the thing should be displayed, and then kind of they applied, you know, an artistic approach to it, so you can kind of see what they feel it would look like in game. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. It kind of has like content guide of like kill so many designated monsters, complete 4 events in a zone. Then down below it has like run this dungeon, run this fractal, run, you know.
Right.
You know how I think it's ESO that does it. Like when you log into ESO, it pops up a thing. Like this could be like
well, originally they popped up a thing that would like be like news, but I think they just in the most recent patch added a zone guide.
Yeah.
So I haven't really looked at that, but
it'd be kind of neat if it just popped up this, and then like you could choose the option to discard, like not show it or anymore, or just like for the day. Like that could be something in the options that you do. But I think it'd be kind of neat that when you first log into the game, like you have all these things lined up for you, so you can see what you can do for the day.
And like I said, while this is mostly in this one focused on PvE, heck, if it's good. Oh, and I realized I thought I didn't have any more of these, but everybody's names are off because of. But it can be used in World v World or PvP.
Yeah, it is more like flashy dailies, but it's like more in your face, and it kind of gives you some. It's like, hey, you logged into the game. Here's stuff you can do, type of deal.
Right.
I like that complete dungeon path one because, you know,
Anything to get people back into it.
Right.
As a race one, meta events, get nodes, 4 events in X Zone. I think I like having this more concise. I'll call it a daily guide for now. It's like I like having more concise daily guide rather going, okay, let's go through. We have daily fractals. We have a whole list of all the tiers and all the fractals it could do, and then we have the regular dailies, and then we have map dailies, and we have like there's a bunch of dailies you can do, but just having like a few in your face kind of gets you started in that respect.
Right. What are the Living World episode dailies?
Well, when you
those
go
are
to the
the
map,
map.
it says those
Oh.
like particular ones, which
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
after a while it kind of did get annoying or something. Like
Yeah.
when there was only
assuming-
like 1 or 2 maps when they started doing it, it was like, okay, go here. Now it's like
I think
Oof.
it gives you extra currency for that map, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
but I wish it's like,
I kind of agree with like Josh was saying. They're nice at first, and then it's like it becomes like overwhelming. It almost becomes like how people. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have a world boss night.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of turns it into a night, which I don't know. Personally, for me, I'm not a fan, and maybe that's why I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't be I'm not the type of player that I would want to make a night of those tasks, especially when it's that little, like a little bit more currency.
yeah. Whereas in this case, like you get a little bit extra words, like you get a few bags, some like tier 5, tier 6 bags as well, some obsidian shards. Like a lot of people would like that, and then you get in this example they give like a profession bag. I guess that would be based on the profession you're on, but
I don't know. I think I'm probably a bad Guild Wars tour because I don't even pay attention to the dailies anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm going to log on and do what I want to do to accomplish what I want to do. Like, I don't pay attention to the dailies whatsoever. And if in doing that I complete one, then yay. But otherwise, I'm just like, I don't care.
But this would be more for people who feel like they have nothing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was just one idea that someone on Reddit brought up, which, if you like that idea, like I said, I linked it in chat. I'll put it up in the description on YouTube. If you want to support it, maybe it gets enough traction that maybe they look into it. But any other thoughts on the content guide system?
I think it'd be most useful as a pop-up of the day thing, and people can disable it as they see fit. But I think
As long as there was some way to be like, don't give me this pop-up ever because I don't care.
Yeah, like
it would be fine.
I like to continue to play or complain that there's nothing to do. Checkbox.
it's like take it off currently once a day, once a week. I don't know.
Oh, I would like a drop down like that. Like I would like a once a day across the account, so it's like, see what's going on. If it's intriguing, but
right.
Yeah, if it's like every time you log in, I'd quickly probably get annoyed with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, definitely check it out and voice your opinion if you want to possibly see it. But yeah, what to do now button. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But next up we have the gem store, and I don't think there's anything new, but always check out Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net to spend your gems more wisely, so you can check out all these past things, because this is the beginning of March, and they are planning on doing March sales all month. And I think literally yesterday, the 1st, They had the Crystalline Dragon Wings Backpack Glider combo for 560 gems, which is 20% off, and the
Which
Vine
those are
Touch.
awesome.
Yes, especially if you want to look like your favorite, like glint dragon type thing. Basically, they're the wings that were in the one of the Terrir quest living or episode things.
Oh, that you got to
Like yeah,
jump
when you were
across.
taking when you were taking the egg everywhere.
Yeah.
But also the Vine Touch Destroyer Glider combo for 560 gems, 20% off. So now is that still going till Tuesday, or is that literally up for 24 hours?
It seems like these are 24-hour sales.
Oh,
Mm.
so I
Oh
don't know
well,
if it's still up anymore, especially not up if you're watching this on Sunday.
right.
But and if you're quick, which looking at the time of how long this episode is, it might have already gone by the time we're talking about it. But that's why make sure to follow them on Twitter. Make sure to, maybe even check in the game once a day, whatnot, while you're doing your dailies. Who knows? But today on sale, March 2nd, is the Path of Fire Preparation Pack for 2,800 gems, which is 20% off. And I forget, they said, I know someone commented in there, it had a good amount of stuff, if I remember correctly.
Which one?
I think it has character slot, bag slots, a level 80 boost, I think a guaranteed key, and basic gathering tools.
Yeah, I thought it had like bags. You said I thought it had like 1 or 2 bag slots or something, but yeah, Path of Fire.
I'm sorry. Which bundle are you asking about?
Path of Fire Preparation Pack, which yes includes 1 character slot expansion, 2 bag slot expansions, Unbreakable Gathering Tools container, and 10 Blackline chest keys and a Blackline instant level 80 ticket.
Yeah.
So normally 3,500 gems, 20% off for 2,800. So.
Did you talk about the Slow River Glider yet and all that?
Is that in there?
It's up for a limited time. It's not in there, but like the Bloodstone Glider, the Soul River Glider, and the Celestial Glider are all up, and they have 16 hours left for sale right now.
Oh, okay. I wonder if that was. I know we had a big list of stuff. I thought last week.
There's a big list last week.
Maybe.
It might have been from that, but hey, 16 hours left.
16 hours from this moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably missing it. But definitely, I mean, Soul River Glider. A lot of people wanted that. But yeah, is there anything you guys are hoping to see in the March sale this month? And Chad, I'd love to know if you have any hopes.
Keys.
Keys.
I have an itch to wail again.
I'd like to see the shared inventory slots go on sale again. That'd be nice.
As long as they evenly go through. I can't
evenly go through? What do you mean?
because right now I have 20 slots. 10.
Oh.
I can't have.
Well, you can arrange your window thing to make it look okay. I'm just saying, there's a possibility.
I haven't gotten 32 bag slots because of that.
Yeah, that's my reason too. Yep. Not that I'm just broke as a joke. But yeah. So I don't know. What would I hope for? Can they put Abaddon's Return in the gem store? That would be pretty madness. That'd
be pretty madness.
Yes. Yes. I know what I said. Leave me alone. How are you going to hold all of your gear without 32 slot bags? I only have 1 set because, yes, I am a pleb.
I have legendary weapons I don't need.
Oh, he just out-plubbed you. He's like, I just got a full set of legendary. Get on my level. That's what he said. I don't know if you heard it, but that's what he said. That was internet talk.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we're going to probably have to have a fight afterwards about who has the best legendary set.
Think you have how many? Like, the only duplicates I have now are trinkets. and like a few extra daggers, which will go away once I make the second legendary dagger. And I'll just have. Oh, and then I have like a few. I don't. Maybe you have like a bunch of runes and sigils, I guess.
Well, what it sounds like for you, you're going to hope for once you have your full legendary set, is you're going to need transmutation charges, which hopefully they'll put those on sale in the gem store.
I have over 400. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out a way to keep us on track in the gem store.
Yeah.
But
that's why. Yeah, you have legendary armor, but you don't like swapping the stats. I don't mind.
But yeah, well, hopefully we'll get to see more stuff from the gem store, some returning stuff. Maybe throughout the month, some new stuff. Who knows? But last up, we have Community Corner. First up in Community Corner, we have a public memorial service for the co-founder and co-lead of the DTOP Guild. Their handle name was Melora. Yeah. Unfortunately, they passed away on February 15th, 2019, due to pulmonary embolism, basically a blood clot in the lung. So, they are going to kind of hold a event service type thing on Sunday, March 3rd. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can definitely participate. But it starts 2 p.m. Eastern time. It will be a public memorial service starting at the Grove, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 1 hour dry top, 4 p.m. and an hour of bounty hunting in five of the 5 core Path of Fire maps. And we'll link the thing in chat. So, and once again, we'll be in the description if you guys want to, show up and pay your respects. But and they do say there will be Guild Wars 2 trivia, giveaway, prizes, silly puns, and map chat. Yeah. And an opportunity to pay forward Melora's kindness through our soon-to-be-announced charity fund drive. So awesome.
Yay.
And they just say to join, use /SG join Splinka, SPLINKA, and ask for an invite on their Discord server or in guild chat, or just look for DTOP in LFG. So definitely check that out. And sorry to hear of losing a close friend.
Yeah, that guild started because of all the achievements in Dry Top, and I guess other ways that people need to complete, and it just
that makes sense.
And it became like just a train of achievements over the weekend. Melora actually subbed for one of our sub raid groups, and apparently she had like a lot of AP so she played the game a lot. So yeah, sucks to hear.
Yeah,
it's cool that we're doing this. Well, their guild is doing this for them. So
also the UGO Unity Gaming Organization's 5v5 PvP tournament, March 24th, of course hosted by Jebro Unity. And they're doing it in partnership with Matcherino on, once again, March 24th. Only can use core builds, so that's going to be interesting. And once again, like I said, more info soon. Link to Jebro's Twitter will be in the description. Another one is an EU draft tournament. It is a guild versus guild tournament hosted by Roy. Starts at 4 p.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Is that Central Europe? Central Eastern?
Yeah, Central Europe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I took a guess. There's a pre-guild versus guild show for around an hour. Group stage will then start at 5 p.m. Central Europe time and should last between 4 to 5 hours. Final stage will start on Sunday at 5:30 Central Europe time and should last around 2 to 3 hours. There will be a Bolt Legendary given away at some point during the stream, so
nice.
we'll throw the link in chat to the Reddit post, but also where the main stream that it's going to be on. So if you want to mark that ahead of time, so you can try to get that legendary. But also we have, once again, we talked, just a quick reminder, the Snow Crow's monthly viability competition. Once again, it's a collab with Snow Crows and Roka and Nike, and basically the aim is they kind of randomly pick a makeup for what you need to have in the raid group, and then you can kind of make builds off of it, and however you make fit of after randomly picking what boss they want you to kill. First one to do that, is the winner. Yeah, so definitely check that out. Also, the Games Love and Life put out another in-depth event guide, because I'm one of those people that played through Thunderhead Keep. I saw all the glory, all the stuff like, oh, I remember used to being here. That was this thing in Guild Wars 1. But, I spent all my time just reminiscing and going on a nostalgia trip. I don't even know. I didn't do, the main metas or anything. Am I going to look like, a noob there? Luckily with her guide. No, I will not. Because luckily with her guide, I will know how to actually look competent.
Not be competent, just look competent.
Yes, look competent. I will not be competent. It's
yeah, I was it's too mean. Anyway, keep going.
But yeah, there's the link in chat for that. And what I like about this, and I like other tutorials, is when they kind of speed up stuff, especially when it's just explaining the stuff and you can look at it. I like when they speed up the animations, because I think it's like I want to say like a 5-ish minute video, but if it was normal real time, it probably would have been like 10 minutes, but right. She sped up the footage, so you can it gets you to the action of what you have to do. But last up, and while it's not, I know some people might say it won't be fully related to Guild Wars 2, but I think people that aren't aware, one of the people that was let go at ArenaNet was Josh Foreman, but he went, and I know a lot of people on Reddit were talking about he was streaming and stuff like that, but he mentioned how he's starting a his book project. Well, it's been
working on it, but yeah.
But it was one of those times, and so he talks about releasing his fantasy adventure book in April with his wife Rose, referred to as, it's called The Sacred King, Book 1, Exile, and it's going to be Tales from the Talifar series. So has 10 books in development, and he was saying how you can pre-order soon. But it's also
though, which is I just like
right,
very fitting for him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way. But and for people that aren't aware, he was I believe level designer at ArenaNet. I know he did a lot of the jumping puzzles, but I think that was his official title. But
yeah,
another thing that I know we talked about way back, but he actually, if you've ever seen or maybe saw images of it, he was the one that made the giant gummy, what was it, the great jungle worm or whatever they call it, the thing in
Jindu.
Yeah,
Jindu.
But yeah, he made the big gummy version of that, and he makes other crazy actual sculptures that I won't say you can't eat, you probably shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check him out, and you can always support him on Patreon and stuff like that. But yeah, just in case, I'll throw the YouTube video, but we'll put all the links in the description and stuff like that. So definitely check him out. So, and I think it's important, because I did watch his one video where he's talking about the situation that happened at ArenaNet, and he does mention his Patreon and stuff like that. And I think this is one thing that I know a lot more people are starting to kind of do, and I think it's important to acknowledge is, in case people just find his Patreon and want to I don't want to say blindly support him, but support him in the sense of, and he even stresses it is, there's different tiers. If you can't, if it's going to break the bank even to give $1 or something like that, absolutely do not do it. Like, that, and he even says that. He's like, don't, there's other ways, just watch my videos, watch the content, like we talked about in the past, just being in someone's stream and chatting with them, it can help tremendously, just keeping them sane. It's
right.
But there's also there's free alternatives to help support someone. But if you do have the money and like his material, definitely, and that's for anybody with Patreon or anything like that, definitely support them. But yeah, don't feel like you're required to, or that you're gonna not make rent this month because you supported someone. Like,
that would be a terrible choice.
And like chat saying, have tissues ready if you watch that video. Yeah, it's I don't even want to think about it. But
right.
What?
I remember his book. He said, like, in a blurb synopsis, it's kind of like Salvatore's Drizzt series. So if you like that, I'm gonna get it because he said that. I'm like,
nice.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that is it for this week. And Age, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Age Night Road. I won't be here next week, but I will probably stream the patch on Tuesday. Just my vacation starts when I get home on Tuesday. So there you go.
I was just gonna say, I don't know when all that stuff happens, but I was like, if you're around Wednesday,
I'll probably be packing.
Okay.
I'm going on a trip, but yeah, that's probably it. I don't know. I might stream tomorrow evening, but that's about it.
Yeah. Awesome. And Robin, where can they find you?
Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Arlie82. Yep.
You just
have
okay. And you can find me at simply_Deo on Twitch and Twitter. And yeah, really didn't stream this much this week, mainly because I was also probably wrongfully engrossed in the comment section, because I love commenting back to people on our videos and stuff. But maybe I've spent too much extra effort on debating, let's say. But thank you and I do want to stress this, and thank you mostly for everyone, the majority of people that watch the video on YouTube, Twitch, and stuff, that were, like I said, most people, the majority were good, and had constructive feedback, even if it was negative towards something. That was constructive, and I think that's the most important part. But if you are just popping at the very end, do stick around. We do a bit of an after show. If you want to watch this in full, we do highlight it on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. If you prefer YouTube, it goes up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and that's youtube.com/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. If you want to show up live, like I said, the Twitch channel /MAADrealms, and we go live Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. If you want to find it all in one nice little cozy package, just go to maadrealms.com. That's 2 A's in the MAAD. Links usually in the description on the recorded stuff. Check it out there. That is the only place that we have the audio version of this podcast, and hopefully maybe other things in the future. So we shall see. And my dogs are getting aggravated. So that is it for this week, and we'll see everybody next time. Take care, and see you in the game. Good night, everybody.
All right, guys.